Right. Good evening, everyone, and I welcome you to another episode of Enlightening Saturdays. Today, we have with us Mr. MP Sharma, who is the Senior Vice President with JP Schools. Mr. Sharma has worked for more than 2 decades. Some of the organizations he's been associated with are SOS Children's Village of India, where he rose to the rank of Deputy National Director. His rich and varied 8-year-long experience with DLF-backed Summerfield School and Modern School Barakhamba has further elevated him to become a part of UNESCO projects for a period of 3 years in the area of sports teacher education. National sportsman, Mr. Sharma has made appearance at two major mega sports events, 1982 Delhi Asian Games and 1983 Bombay Hockey World Cup. He has worked in area of sports, youth, and teacher education in 4 SAARC countries, Bhutan, Nepal, Sri Lanka, and India. While working with the JP Group since 2009 as Senior Vice President Education, he has been associated with the implementation of CBSE concepts in scholastic areas and sports development. A very warm welcome, Sharma sir, for today's session.
Thank you very much, Aman.
Thank you so much. So, the topic for today's discussion, as you're already aware, is perceiving the road ahead for the Indian education ecosystem, keeping in light the new national education policy. So first of all, it is quite refreshing to have a new education policy after almost about 3 decades. And we believe it was the need of the hour. The range of changes from pedagogical and curricular restructuring of 5334 to addressing the early childhood care and education to giving importance to children well-being, be it mental, physical, emotional, financial, to introduction of contemporary subjects such as artificial intelligence, holistic health, environmental education, to letting the learners have exposure to vocational education, and many such changes. All of these changes seem like a very refreshing thought. So my first question, keeping all of this in light, sir, to you would be, what do you think are the positive and the challenging aspects of the new education policy 2020?
Thank you, Aman. And I think, Aman, you very rightly pointed out that, after 34 years gap, this new national education policy has arrived, which is very well needed. In fact, I would like to add in a sentence more.
Sure.
You see, we got in legacy education policy in 1947, which was given by the Britishers to us. And it was based more on rote learning because they wanted to create people who can do a repetitive word. You see, now the focus is on doing a innovative work, in creative work. So it was needing a very major shift.
Sure.
In mentality, in attitude, in skills, in abilities, and in knowledge.
Right.
This 2020 document is basically a concept document, which is absolutely fantastic. It is well designed, it is well thought of, it is addressed almost all issues,
Right.
which I will take it up with you
Sure.
in due course of time. There are sizable number of positive issues which the policy has addressed under the Ranganathan ji, who himself is a very eminent scientist, and he has a lot of touch with the ground realities. The first positive changes which I foresee is on a foundational education. You see, India means population, India means numbers, India means demographically we are very huge.
Right.
So the country, in order to bring children to the educational platform, started Anganwadis long back.
Right.
While I was in SOS, we started almost 3,000 Anganwadis around the country.
Right.
So Anganwadi, the concept itself suggests you that education in the courtyard of a child. So the children from mother's lap were brought to a closest platform,
Sure.
which was somehow a very good beginning, but for a very long time there was no transformation which has taken place in terms of a curriculum and in terms of the teacher development.
Right.
So the government first thing has done is putting a lot of emphasis on the foundation education.
Sure.
So the new education policy has restructured the entire education system. That is 5+3+3+4.
Right.
From 10+2, initially there was no policy to cognizance of pre-primary education.
Right.
This is the first document which has taken cognizance, and they have realized that we need to empower our Anganwadi workers. We need to create a curriculum, and I would like to tell you that there was a big disconnect between Anganwadis and the CBSE or the state-run schools, because the Anganwadis were looked after by Women and Child Welfare Department of the country.
Right.
So this ministry is working in exclusion, and now it will be looked after by one ministry, which will be now henceforth called Education Ministry, which will take full cognizance of all the issues which are related with the curriculum. That is the language development, the numeracy development. So that is one first good positive change which the policy is bringing. Is the policy will address the pre-primary education.
Right.
And again, if I look at the secondary education, which was very rigid in our days. Earlier to this policy, the science, the commerce, arts, biology. But now henceforth, children who will be reading in class 9, 10 and 11 and 12, they will be required to read 6 subjects in one semester.
Right.
And they will be reading almost 24 subjects. So they'll their understanding about the world will be very increased. And it will provide a lot of options to the children with diversified abilities, their qualities, their attitudes. So it will provide ample of opportunity for children to gear up for the life which they are going to face in the forthcoming years. So but the challenge is, if you ask me, to bring this on ground and implement, there will be a hurricane of challenges. The sizable challenges which the country will have to, the implementers have to face it. Let's see, the people who are at the helm of the education, who are in touch with the children, are the teachers. And in this country, if we implement this policy, it will hit the educational mafia. The mafia which runs the B.Ed colleges. You see, the worst job done is by the B.Ed colleges, because the colleges are not even there. They can provide you degree of B.Ed and M.Ed without going to the college, without attending the classes. What to talk about the curriculum? And these teachers who come with factitious degrees to teach in the school are not equipped very properly. So this is one of the very major challenge, because this mafia is rooted in the country. Let's see, this government has so far shown very strong will under Modi ji. He has touched some of the issues which no Prime Minister before him has addressed. And I'm too sure, if he is capable of bringing this document in picture, he will be also ensuring that the challenges which are there
Right.
are also the another challenge which is very huge is that you see there are sizable number of private and public schools who are known for their good infrastructure, good facilities, and a good teaching staff
Yeah.
are simply ignored. The government, while I hope, I am very sure this government, while implementing, will go for public-private partnership.
Right.
It is called PPP.
Yeah.
This is one challenge which I foresee when the government will prepare
Right.
a working document, working plan with the help of the NCERT and CBSE. They will make these public schools as a full-fledged partner in carrying out all the initiatives which they have.
Right.
And the third challenge which I foresee is in this policy, the kind of budgetary provision the government has made
Right.
is the same which they made it 34 years ago. That is 6% of the GDP.
Right.
If we look at various models in the country which has succeeded in providing a good education through the government school, it is under the Delhi state government.
Sure.
G's government, school has been transformed into places of real learning and full marks to the education minister and the deputy chief minister Manish Sisodia ji, who has brought in 100% change in the school education in Delhi. But then they have been able to make it because they spend 35% of the budget of the Delhi state government.
Sure.
So I think in due course of time, maybe even Modi ji may think that the budgetary allocations for bringing these changes will be required.
Right.
While I think they are going to bring out another document that is working plan of this policy,
Right.
which will ensure all this.
Yes.
So these are some of the challenges which are there for the government.
Yeah.
But I'm sure I'm very optimistic with the, PPP, with the public-private partnership, providing scope to the private vendors who are there in the knowledge industry,
Right.
be it in education, be it in well-being, be it in sports, be it in anywhere. The government is going to rope in these private players into their system so that the delivery becomes effective.
Right. Right.
So these are some of the positive and the challenges which are there before the government. But I am very optimistic. This government has ensured a very good document, and it will also ensure a very good working and maybe implementation. It may take a little bit of a time.
Right. So I think so. Very rightly said, sir. I mean, wonderful introspection you've had. That there are a lot of positives to a document like this, and the only concern at this point in time is how this will get implemented across the country, because just as the length and the breadth of the Indian subcontinent is so humongous, that a right working plan has to be put into place for all these points to be effectively put across in the education system, and whatever they perceive should be a difference in the education ecosystem. If the implementation is right, all of that will be achieved by and large. So great.
Yes.
So my second and my last question to you would be, how do you perceive that this new policy with all of this inclusion of nutrition, health, skill and value development, exposure to vocational education, how do you think all of that will nurture a society worthy citizens? Because we're seeing at this point in time that there's a humongous requirement of an overall well-being of a child and overall development of a child, and that is what the policies also recognized, that academic excellence is great. I mean, you get marks, wonderful, but if you're not a well thought through individual, then all those academic marks will not make a difference, and that's what the policy is also talking about. So how do you foresee that a policy like this will nurture society worthy citizens who better themselves and the society and the country going forward?
I think very well. It's a well placed, very relevant question which you have raised.
Sure.
And this policy somehow has taken care of it. If you look at the old policies, you see they were only initially the first policy which came under Mrs. Indira Gandhi, the late Prime Minister of India.
Yeah.
The focus was more on IQ.
Right.
And then subsequently, we started taking care of EQ. Then later on, there was a shift to, SQ. The IQ, EQ, SQ. This policy very uniquely, very ably crafted for what they call now in modern languages WQ. The well-being quotient of education is taken care of. Right. It is well taken, and it is led from the front by the Prime Minister himself.
Right.
Starting the Fit India movement, giving a space to Fit India in the curriculum of the CBSE. Right. Then, prior to that, he led the entire world from the front on, creating a yoga platform.
Yeah.
UNESCO gave a huge recognition, and there was sizable number of 72 nations in first go participated in it. And this curriculum, which is focused on the overall development of the child.
Right.
So initially, overall development was only considered IQ, EQ, SQ.
Right.
Now the overall development also includes the WQ.
Yeah.
So this WQ is very interesting. You see, it is taking care of the physical fitness, the physical health, the meditation, the yoga, the nutrition part. You see, the other day the education minister was conferring with the sports minister. Yeah. Initially sports was considered as extracurricular activities.
Right.
Then it became co-curricular activities. Now it has become a core subject.
Right.
It will be taught, it will be implemented in toto. The areas more like nutrition.
Right.
Areas more like, postural development.
Right.
Children who comes with malnourishment from the rural belt, usually you will find they are flat-footed, knock knees, bow legs. So now the focus is that this child who comes with all these disorder to the school, in the school, these are all issues which are addressed. So initially when we started the Anganwadis, I am connecting my first question with the second answer.
Right.
You see, when we started with the midday meals.
Right.
Even now in many states, including Delhi and Karnataka, Andhra Pradesh, the midday meal is an integral part of the entire program.
Right.
The idea is the children get at least minimum nutritious food. The idea is that they get food which is sumptuous, which can help in their, and it is not only that they are provided, but in subsequently when they go for reading of physical education as a subject, they are being taught about the nutritional values.
Right.
They are taught what kind of food they must consume.
Right.
So the awareness level of these children is increasing very sizably.
Right.
So, the one is then the yoga part has been introduced. The Surya Namaskar in the curriculum has been introduced. Delhi government has gone further. They have introduced a happiness curriculum.
Yeah.
So you see the emphasis in this policy, if you compare it with the old policies, has completely changed.
Sure.
And it will give a lot of space to the private players to walk in, to work, who are working in the areas of, the wellness.
Yeah.
The wellness industry will find space in this policy, and it will do lot good to the children.
Sure.
The another thing which we experience is, you see, this world is full of conflicts. There is a power going on. There is a power war. There is a biological war going on.
Right.
There is a poverty going on. There's huge lot of conflict is going on. So the emphasis of the UNESCO started on global citizen education.
Right.
Putting a lot of focus on developing 21st century skills on children,
Right.
on solidarity,
Right.
on collaboration, on cooperation. You see, Aman, what is working today is what we have not learned actually in the schools.
Yes. Yeah.
During the pandemic time,
Yeah.
it is the resilience which is working out.
Right.
How resilient you are.
Right.
So rightly, there's a lot of focus on the resilience.
Right.
The children have to be taught, let go. There are a lot of things. I being a sportsman, I'll quote you some of the examples.
Sure.
You see, when Sachin go for a batting,
Yeah.
and Shoaib Akhtar balls a bouncer,
Yeah.
he knows when to duck down,
Yeah.
and he knows when to hook for a six.
Sure.
He has hooked Shoaib Akhtar at his own home place in Rawalpindi
Yeah.
for a six number of times, but he has number of times ducked down also.
Right.
You see, ducking down, letting go is a huge quality which is allowing us now to survive in these pandemics.
Right.
And it has done. Let me also add in a word more on the, because I've been also a teacher for a long time.
Yeah.
Had this pandemic not been there, our teaching community would have continued teaching in the same mode.
Yes.
So they have very quickly, and hats off to them, all teachers, worldwide, hats off to them. Lot of greetings, lot of compliments to them for taking head on the digital online teaching.
Right.
And this has happened in India very quickly.
Right.
Even in JP Group, I can share with you, there are almost, I have directly 3 schools under me. There are 90 teachers who undertook online courses from the Manchester University, how to teach online.
Sure.
And their proficiency is addressed in. So, these children who will undergo the global citizen education program, which this national policy document also gives a space for, what they call in their terms is competency-based education.
Right.
Through this competency-based education, they intend to develop 21st century skills in children.
Yes.
Which has critical thinking, creative thinking, and they have, collaboration, solidarity. Solidarity is going to play another role.
Right.
You see, in pandemic, either nobody will win or all will win.
Yeah.
So this team feeling is coming. You see the changing roles during the pandemic time.
Right.
You see these policemen has unlearned his role of brandishing danda.
Yeah.
He is now distributing food, distributing masks, holding hand people. Please wear mask so that they are saved off.
Right.
So these roles which are changing are also being addressed in this policy, which I am sure through implementation, their focus also on the vocational education where we failed initially. We made a lot of attempts.
Right.
We started with multi. I'm sorry, there was a disruption.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah.
And now once again, you know, the focus on the vocational education is there,
Right.
which has picked up very well.
Yeah.
And I'm too sure, you know, this will be addressed very properly, and so that the children are benefited, and they have no complex in opting for vocational education.
Right.
All in all, this education policy will provide, according to me, in my opinion, lot of space to the private players to pitch in.
Right.
Those of them who have been in the knowledge industry, those of them who've been in the you know, wellness industry, they will get a chance to deliver absolutely a good role in this program.
Right. That's a great thing to hear from you. And just to summarize this whole conversation, sir, I think 2020 has been the year of change, and ranging from the Anganwadis to the unmushrooming of the playgroup schools, to the 5-3-3-4, and all of those put